Welcome to Geek News Now Live, where my phone is announcing that he's going live. And I'm turning that off. Anyway, we're live today talking about the DC cinematic universe, DC entertainment as a whole, everything from the comics to the animated stuff, past, present, and what's coming up, how it compares to Marvel, pretty much everything that we can talk about. We've got someone else coming later to join us, join the panel, Damon. But for right now, it's the three of us. We had multiple people have to back out because the terrible conditions, the snow and ice and cold that are ravaging Texas and the South right now. And our thoughts go out to the people there without power and that are struggling through. And we hope that the weather goes back to normal soon. And I do. We all do. I mean, that's... Get out of here, snow. You don't belong in Texas. Get out. Anyway, today we're talking about the DC universe, and I've got two panelists with me right now. Again, Damon's going to be here later. But why don't you all introduce yourselves, starting over there with Cam.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Cam of Cam and Focus here. New episode just dropped the other night, breaking down Arrival and looking at some of its more metaphorical themes. So check it out if you haven't. Definitely excited to be here. I haven't done one of these live streams in a little while, so it's nice to be back.
Yeah! We love being here. We love doing it. And I love having you here. I've been here for every one of them, but that's just me. Again, I host it, so it's not really that big of a brag. Debbie!
I'm Debbie. I'm part of the social media team. Usually I'm on the Marvel stuff, but tonight I'm filling in for DC and pretty excited because I love the DC stuff, movies, and the Arrowverse. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We have a Twitch channel, and we have several podcasts that I think if you don't like DC, you'll find something on one of the other podcasts. So be sure to give us a check out and subscribe and like and share and have fun.
Exactly. And don't forget to check out, if you're interested in contests, by the way, I know that this is a DC stream. We're talking about DC, but we currently have a Geek News Now giveaway going on where we're giving away $250 worth of Marvel stuff. The link to get involved in that is in the description. There's like over 6 ways to enter. So if you want some free stuff, even if it is Marvel stuff, but right, like I'd still want it. So, you know, enter in the GNN greats, and the link is in all the descriptions. Anyway, right now we're here to talk about DC.
And here we go.
So
Just a little transition there.
DC lately has had some problems. Our social media head, Autumn, when I was telling her that we were running this stream, said she can't even watch DC anymore because they butcher things. And I thought it's a little harsh. Although with Justice League, I was even watching that going, oh no, like I was just watching that. But there are other parts I like. I can sit back and enjoy a thing. It's possible. I know you're all surprised, but I can, and I did. There are parts that I really liked, but there was way too many parts where I was like, oh no. And you don't want that during a film when you're watching a film, unless like it's an oh no film, but this wasn't supposed to be that. Anyway, the Snyderverse, I think, kind of, a lot of people said it's too dark. It's too this, it's too that. And then with the Justice League movie that came out, we didn't even get to see his vision of it. We got like a mashed up Frankenstein executives, whatever, which was already rushed in the first place because they were playing catch up with Marvel. And that's basically the run up of current DC. They've been playing catch up with Marvel and not succeeding. They've been tripping, falling down the entire way because they're rushing stuff. And people remember the greatness of movies like the Dark Knight trilogy. And we're hopeful for seeing things like that return, but it's just not quite clicking. At least that's why I would say. What do you guys think on that take? of like the recent DC past?
The one problem I always see with DC and like maybe the earlier Batman movies, they keep rehashing the origin stories, and I'm just so sick of origin stories because we know. Yeah, DC has an issue. I don't know what their problem is. I really don't know what they're thinking when they put out some of this stuff, but I mean, some of the movies I enjoy, the earlier movies like Batman Returns, I mean, they're campy, remind you of Adam West.
Mm-hmm. And that's back in the day. You know, like that's before the Marvel Cinematic Universe started. And so now, and that started, not to cut you off, I agree with you. Those movies back then are great. Marvel didn't have anything to compare.
Right.
At that time. Nothing even close. And so Sony had Spider-Man back then, and Fox had the X-Men, but Marvel didn't have anything. Marvel had Iron Man, and that came out, I think, around the same time.
2000
came out in 2009, 2010.
Yeah, it was like back in the same time as like The Dark Knight Rises, maybe even The Dark Knight itself wasn't too long. I think
Dark Knight came out in 2008.
And so they're then that was the first step towards creating the MCU. They didn't even know then what it would become because it wasn't owned by Disney then. This grand plan hadn't been established. It was only after kind of like Iron Man 2, Captain America, and Thor that they were like, let's do this. And we've only now been able to look back and see the results of that, which is Endgame and Infinity War and all that whole saga. And so DC, meanwhile, was playing catch up with their DC universe, which started a Justice League movie that didn't even have build-up movies for like Aquaman. An Aquaman movie hadn't come out yet, but he's in the movie. You know what I mean? And I guess to be fair, Black Widow movie still hasn't come out.
Yeah, and she's been dead for 2 years already, so.
But the big players, like she was even a spy though, no offense to her, but in comparison with like Captain America and Iron Man and stuff, she's awesome, but she's not like, I don't know. But you would expect Aquaman or the Flash to have a movie. And they combined basically the first Avengers type movie to be Batman versus Superman, to be like that Captain America Civil War thing. And there's debate on who came up with what to do first. But, you know, these companies watch each other. So it's just very interesting that, like, that was their first team up at the same time. And it's no comparison. Marvel has, at this point, already 6, like, established characters on each side going at it. And you've got 2 of your main characters going at it with a third that hops in at the end with a cheesy, "Isn't she with you?"
I just watched that last night.
Yeah, well,
what did you think?
Something. Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Batman versus Superman.
Well, Cam, if you were about to go right off what I was saying, go ahead.
Well, yeah. I think that on the topic of Batman v Superman, I think that having them start off with those 2 characters going at it, those 2 very well known and well loved characters, I think that having a film that was centered on them so early on in the game, I think was kind of a good decision on their part, since they were trying to play catch up. From a business standpoint, I feel like that might have been one of the better decisions they could have made. But Debbie, you were talking about origin stories and how we really don't need them anymore for the most part. That was actually something I liked about Batman v Superman, was that Batman's origin story was just the intro of the film. And then from there, we jumped right to, the gruff, middle-aged Batman who already lost Robin, who wasn't afraid to kill people and all that. I think that, I don't know. I think that having his origin story just kind of stamped in there just for the opening credits, I feel like, kind of gave his character a bit more. Oh geez, I had the word and I lost it. But you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Well, the origin story in and of itself isn't a bad thing, you know. Like, and if done right, it's an important part of the story, especially if you're trying to tell a story potentially to people that may not have heard of it before. Because I swear, like Debbie was saying, they've done that, especially Bruce Wayne's origin story, like to death in the past 10 years, because they've done it in like Gotham. They've done it. If you're watching all the stuff, then you've seen his origin story. But the thing is,
they just did it in Joker too.
I know you've seen it. You've seen it tons of times. It happens every single time. But here's the thing: the people that are making this have to keep in mind that maybe they've got first-time viewers. Maybe, and it is possible. As insane as it is to think, I'm like, the Batman has been around forever. One of the things you know about Batman is that he's an orphan. His parents get killed in an alley. That's just common knowledge, right? That's common knowledge. My mom the other day was like, I had no idea that his parents died in an alley. I'm glad they reminded me, because I was showing her something. I was like, well, and she was like, oh, I had no idea. I was like, oh my gosh. How is that even possible that you don't know that? That's like the basic thing about him. And then she was just
what,
like, oh.
What do you mean the butler's not his dad?
But then again, she doesn't give a crap about Batman. So again, if someone like that is walking into a theater or a show and being introduced to the character, you got to have that origin, because not everyone knows. Oh, as embarrassing as it is. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I guess my biggest gripe, and it's not DC, but every time Sony changes a Spider-Man, they give us the darn origin story all over again, and I'm just like, oh my god, quit it.
They didn't give us that in the MCU Spider-Man.
True, but with Garfield and
Toby,
yeah.
And I think that 7-episode long Japanese Spider-Man series, I'm pretty sure we got that too.
Yeah, correct.
Did you ever see that? God, that was hilarious.
I've seen snippets, and I think they had something on Disney Plus that explained the whole Japanese Spider-Man origins and stuff. I was just like, Lord, that was awful.
Yeah, I think it came out like back in the 70s or 80s. It was like old.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that next week. And we talk all about Spider-Man. I'm not kidding. That's what we're talking about next week. So next week, all about Spider-Man. Tune in. I'm going to specifically look up this horrifying Spider-Man so that we can talk about it. But right now, back on focus. DC. I think the most notable thing happening in DC right now is the Snyder Cut, which lots of controversy behind it. There were people that said it doesn't exist. And then there are other people that said, how do you understand how a cut works? And then there are other people that said, it seriously doesn't exist. And then they were like, we're going to release it. And then they're like, and Zack Snyder's finishing shooting it. And I'm like, yes. Because obviously, if he only shot so much of the film, his cut didn't exist as a physical film. You know, just the layout for it did exist. So he had to go finish shooting it. I'm excited to see his vision and what he was originally going to shoot or originally going to do. I'm also completely willing to consider that he's seen the Justice League movie that came out, seen criticisms of it, and possibly changed stuff that he was originally going to do based off of that.
Yeah,
I'm also fine with that. Like, what do you guys think about the whole situation?
Well, see, I'm really excited for it because I personally really enjoy Batman v Superman, the R-rated edition, not the theatrical version that was just so convoluted it was absurd. You know, the extended cut. And I mean, granted, the film's not perfect, of course, not by any means, but I feel like as a Zack Snyder comic book film, I feel like it was really good, and it did exactly what he wanted it to do. And you know, Justice League came out, you know, the Josh Whedonized version of Justice League, and it just felt like Josh Whedon came in and was like, okay, so you guys remember back in 2012 when I did the Avengers, right? Let's do that again.
And it's jarring.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. I'm really excited to see Zack Snyder's vision come to life because I feel like when it comes to directing, a story that has darker subject matter, like Darkseid and him basically taking over the Earth and what did he take over? He's controlling Superman using the I can't remember this something equation. I can't remember exactly what it's called.
Anti-life equation.
That's the one. I thought like that's going to be a really dark and gritty storyline, and I think that we need a director like Zack Snyder for that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, and we're gonna watch the trailer in just a second. First of all, Steppenwolf I think does look better now.
Yes,
but it's
yes, he does.
And like that's all of the CGI.
Cosplay.
Now they're actually, because before, I mean, you gotta remember when the Justice League movie came out, they were like, this is when it's coming out. And back in those days, there wasn't a pandemic where you could just delay a movie and do whatever you wanted to it. And they were rushing to get this movie put together for the release date, and that's why so much of the CGI wasn't that good. It's because it was rushed. Storylines were written, all kinds of stuff was rushed, and it ended. Yes, the terrible lip.
Oh God!
Superman. It was at times laughable if it wasn't so sad, because you wanted to see a good Justice League movie, and not the least of which problems is a lot of people were expecting Darkseid based on the previews, which used a lot of Zack Snyder's footage in which he was setting up Darkseid. And then what you got was not him at all. Not at all. Not in the movie at all. Are you kidding me? I thought at least that's the final guy. He's going to be the final guy you have to fight. And that's why you need Superman. Not at all. Giant mistake. Huge mistake. Like, even if, like, you could say all the other things about it being rushed and rewrites and whatever. If you rewrite it to take out Darkseid, I don't know why you thought you could do that at a time when you're competing with the Avengers. You're competing with the Avengers and Thanos. Maybe that was why they didn't do it. He looks too much like Thanos. It's like, no, it's your only chance to compete with that dude, is having a dude that looks like him. It's literally what comics did.
Like, I have a job for you.
It's literally what the comics did. You'd just be doing the same thing. Like, it's our Thanos, and that's not even that big of a stretch. There are Facebook groups dedicated to this. I can tell you that right now. Thanos versus Darkseid, new fight today. And we say the same things every day. Okay, so like, it's fine. You can do it. Anyway, this is the official trailer. Just came out for the other day for the Snyder Cut of Justice League, which is going to be a 4-hour event.
Yes.
The bell's been rung. Out in the dark, among the stars, the god is dead.
I had a dream. Almost like a premonition. I think there's an attack coming.
My lord, this world will fall.
I need warriors. I'm building an alliance to defend ourselves.
How do you know your team's strong enough? If you can't bring down the charging bull, then don't wave the red cape at it.
You were sent here for a reason. And even if it takes you the rest of your life, find out what that reason is.
They said the age of heroes would never come again.
It will. It has to.
We live in a society where honor is a distant memory. Isn't that right, Batman?
Joker.
I'm digging it.
Joker's in it now.
I'm excited to see his version of Joker because I did not like the Joker in Suicide Squad. I didn't like it at all. This one looks very interesting. I'm hoping they do it totally different.
Well, you got to also consider that is a Joker that's in the Nightmare, because that scene looks like it's taking place. Let's see. During that nightmare that he has when he's seen the future where Darkseid's already come. Yeah, he's got the goggles on. That's where there's an evil Superman and
Right.
and the Flash comes to him and says like, "Oh no, I'm in the wrong time." Da, 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 da. So I think it's partially a result of Flashpoint. And let's see. Partially a result of Flashpoint. So he's having this vision of possibly an alternate future Joker too. I don't know if that's going to be coming into effect, but since this is a 4-hour long event, and since it is Zack Snyder coming into it, there were lots of things that he was planning and had hinted at that were not like fully utilized. Things like Deathstroke, Lex Luthor. Like he was setting these things up, and now they're apparently going to be in this movie since they have time to do it. And I'm wondering if that's going to be further setting up a further DC universe, like if they're going to keep this thing going after Zack Snyder's Justice League, if they're going to use this as a jumping off point for like going forward for like the Flash movie, for example.
Yeah, I would, that would make sense, at least to me. And I hope they change some stuff about Ezra Miller, because I did not like him at all in Justice League. I did not like him at all. So I hope they make some changes in that.
I can tell you one of the things that I got excited about in the trailer again was, and that's why I was mentioning Flashpoint and everything, was there's a scene where he's running, and right here.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw that before, but now it looks like he's running into this like blue wormhole explosion thing. And that's why I'm thinking Speed Force, time travel, Flashpoint. And if you don't know what Flashpoint is, by the way, a great animated movie that came out for the Justice League was Flashpoint. And that involves him, the Flash, going back in time to save his mother from being killed when he was a child, because he can time travel, and he said, why not? And when he does this, he comes back, and then he doesn't have superpowers. Batman, Bruce Wayne is dead, and his
Thomas
father,
Wayne, Batman.
Bruce Wayne was murdered in the Alliance. So like all the timeline's completely different. The Atlanteans and the Athenians on Themyscira, so Wonder Woman and Aquaman are at war, a war that's basically killing the Earth, because one of who slept with the other's wife and then killed, and it's crazy, and it's absolutely insane and awesome. And so drunk, gun-wielding Thomas Wayne Batman helps Flash get his powers back and end this war and save time. And that's just one of the amazing stories in the animated DC universe, which are amazing. The DC animated universe has, while the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been doing amazingly, and everyone's like, this is the best thing ever, DC animated has been doing equally as well, in my opinion. The stories are great. It's interconnected. The most recent one refers back to the Flashpoint paradox, and that's how they go and try and reset stuff. And that's Justice League Dark Apocalypse. And it's crazy because that involves like Justice League Dark, which is people like Constantine, and he's like demon fighter. So with Batman teams up with Constantine and sorceresses, and it's like bam. And then there's the regular Justice League team ups, and then there's, oh my gosh, and it's crazy. And so I'm like, why? If you can do such an amazing job lining that up, knowing what you're going to do, putting that story together, why couldn't you do it with your live action series?
Well, to be fair, I mean the Justice League that well not just the Justice League, but the DC animated films have been coming out for a lot longer than the DCEU has, and so that they've had that they've had a lot more time to build up the characters, to establish these stories, even just the standalone ones, you can still find references in them to other animated films. And so they have the time on their side. The DCEU didn't start being a thing until what, like 20? Well, when did Man of Steel come out? 2014 or 2015? It was one of those years. But
way
like
later,
that,
yeah.
yeah. But that right there, that puts them about 5 years behind the MCU. So.
Yeah. Because like Dark Knight came out in 2008. The one after that was like 8 years later, because that's how long it took them to come out with the third one, because Nolan was doing other stuff. So Dark Knight Rises came out way later, and they didn't start like the Man of Steel until after that.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, again, people give the Snyderverse crap because it's too dark or whatever. I enjoy it. Man of Steel, when he was fighting people or like fighting other Kryptonians and stuff, I was like, that's crazy. The destruction, I mean, I thought that was pretty intense, and I don't remember seeing that kind of speed and power in anything like the Marvel, like that. And that's the thing about these guys, is that their pantheon of gods is the ultimate like Justice League. You've got like Poseidon, you've got Superman, Zeus. People a lot of times put Cyclops as like Hephaestus, things like that, and Wonder Woman herself is like Athena. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, those are the literal people that were fighting Doomsday, Darkseid the first time around. Different DC villain, Doomsday. Doomsday, Apocalypse, it's all connected, right?
Yeah, it certainly
Darkseid,
is.
but Darkseid before he became Darkseid, before he acquired not the anti-life equation, but something else. Anyway, he was like this guy Uxas, and that's when he first tried to conquer the planet. And that's when like Zeus and I guess whoever, that's what in the original Justice League, Wonder Woman tells that story. We see scenes from that. And I think they show Steppenwolf in that position. I think this time around they're going to show it as Darkseid, and they fought off Darkseid because, again, it was such a mistake of them not using Darkseid, because Steppenwolf is not a Justice League threat. You don't need the full Justice League for Steppenwolf.
Well, I think that this time around they really are going to work harder to establish him as an actual threatening presence, even though it looks like he is obviously subservient to Darkseid. I think he is still going to at the very least be a somewhat intimidating presence, because they completely revamped his look. He went from looking like a college graphic designer's project to someone who looks badass and intimidating, and looks like he's gonna wreck some stuff. So I mean, if nothing else, with the Snyder Cut being released in 4-hour-long episodes, they're going to have a lot more time to establish their characters, and that doesn't mean just establishing the Justice League, but establishing the villains as well. And Steppenwolf is a character that really needs that. I feel like his character in the original was just a huge mistake and a huge wasted opportunity.
Yeah. And they don't spend enough time on character development. Yeah, they didn't have enough time. And that's why even in remaking this movie, they were like, can we make it longer? Because there hasn't been a Flash movie yet. There hasn't been a this. So like, let's give these characters, and not just the characters, but their villains, some introduction. That's why movies like, and for other reasons, like executives getting involved and things getting cut up and getting lost in the editing, that happens too. And that did happen in the case of Suicide Squad, but that movie was always going to have problems because you had to introduce 6 characters when they each should have been The first Suicide Squad movie should have come after each of the Justice League members had each had their own movie, each fought against a villain, and then bam, you've got villains. Even if some of them were only side villains or half villains at the time or whatever, one-offs, you've had them introduced, and then they just team up, and that's like maybe 15 minutes of your movie is assembling them, as opposed to an hour. And that really slows down your movie when it's like, here's this character in here, here's why you should care about them. Here's this character, and here's why you should care about them. And let's do it like 6 more times because it's an ensemble cast, and you've never met these people before.
So do you think James Gunn's Suicide Squad's going to run into the same issue?
Not as much so, because now it's taking place in the universe where we've met Harley before. She even had her own movie, Birds of Prey.
Well,
and yeah, I don't know. That happened. I didn't see it, so I don't want to comment on it. Did anyone see Birds of Prey?
It's okay.
It's okay.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's nothing special. You're really not missing out on much by not seeing it. I mean, it had some good action set pieces. I mean, obviously Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is just stellar, obviously, but everything else around it, I mean, it definitely was a Birds of Prey movie in the fact that it was like basically just about them, but you don't really know very much about them. You don't really care very much about them. They're just kind of there to kick butt with Harley one time. So that's really all it was.
Yeah, it's like a one-off.
Yeah, it was basically just a movie that sets up a fight scene.
Yeah.
Which can work. I don't want to knock that entire structure. But in this case, it sounds like it hasn't. And that's basically what I heard is like, you're not missing anything. And while I enjoy Harley Quinn, I mostly enjoy her character as she plays off the Joker in like the 90s Batman cartoon where she was first invented. Like that's my ideal Harley Quinn. And so they're doing a lot of stuff with her now, like on her own or like being with Poison Ivy. And I'm not saying like I hate it or I won't watch it, but I'm just like, I'm not going to be like, ooh, I got to go watch that. As much as I would say like a new Batman movie's coming out, I'm going to go see that. Okay. Like it's a Batman movie. I've just got to go see it to see what's happening. A Harley Quinn movie comes out. I was like, who else is going to be in it? It's like, it's Birds of Prey. I was like, is it really? I don't even know. I was like, will we ever see these people again? Probably not. So I wasn't invested in it. It didn't really play into the bigger thing. But speaking of Batman movies and, upcoming Batman movies, I think
Pattinson.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I know that there's some naysayers who, think, a Twilight actor, even though he comes out and says that he hates Twilight. He hates that he was in those movies, but
well, let's take a look. And he's done a lot of things past then. I can tell you that much. I know personally, and I used to have the same complaint. The dude from the Twilight movies, like that was my response. Like that guy, the man has paid his dues. He has some serious acting chops. And let's take a look at the trailer, which they made this trailer with like only having, I don't even know, like 30% of the shooting done for the movie. But a trailer has been dropped, so let's take a look at it.
Your secret friend.
Underneath the bridge,
Who?
Topper sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped
Haven't a clue.
all become my pet.
Let's play a game. Just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
You're becoming quite a celebrity. Why
Why is he writing to you?
If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye?
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
Whoa! This guy's crazy!
You're part of this too. How am I part of it? You'll see.
I'm so ready for it.
And I think that it's potentially even pushed back again. Who knows? Everything has been. I know that trailer came out before a lot of the pushback announcements, but
March of 2022.
yeah.
I'm excited for this movie because I mean it's Batman year 2, so I'm thinking it's going to be very gritty, very dirty.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that too.
Definitely the trailer, and again, as someone that analyzes trailers, I know it's the trailer's job to get you excited for the film. I know that's its purpose, but this is a good trailer. The music, the build-up, the suspense. And as someone also that follows the DC animated movies, it could potentially be talking about some stuff they've done recently. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but if they do anything close to that animated movie, they're on the right path. Another thing to mention about this movie is that it does not take place within the Snyderverse or the DC cinematic universe, as it were. It's its own different reality, much like the Joker movie. And they realized, I think, especially when they made that Joker movie for a lot less money than your typical superhero movie, and then made tons of money off of it, I think they definitely realized that there's more potential in these superhero movies than just CGI fest, which I love Marvel, but it's a CGI fest.
Yeah. What do you think are the odds that they're going to follow Joker's example and make this film rated R?
I would doubt it since it's Batman, but it does look gritty. I would be surprised to see an R-rated Batman movie. But I wouldn't, I mean, it's not impossible.
Batman movie.
I know Batman does R-rated stuff. I'm not just talking about sleeping with Catwoman.
Just as long as it's not Halle Berry.
I mean, anyway,
yeah, I'm excited for it. I love really good, like, dark and gritty, crime drama. I love crime dramas, and I think that this is what this Batman film is going to end up being.
It's definitely exciting.
Yeah, because you got Paul Dano as the Riddler, and normally I would think that's kind of an odd casting choice, but then I go back and I watch films that he was in, like Prisoners, for example. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. Paul Dano was in that movie too, and he was fantastic. So I've definitely warmed up to the idea of him playing the main villain of this dark and gritty and grimy Batman film.
And there are actually a lot of different people in there, like Catwoman, a lot of different villains. I mean to say, Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really exciting. Like Debbie said, it's Batman year 2, early in his career. We haven't seen a Batman like this on the big screen since really Nolan's, and they honestly fast forwarded over this part because this is the Batman that we would have seen in between maybe the first two Nolans, but that was like a different kind of Batman.
Yeah.
It just was. And so he's established himself as a thing in Gotham. The criminals know who he is. The police are aware of him, but he's not like infamous yet. So so now this person is taunting him, and this is probably the first time this has ever happened to him. You know, when you have Batman like 20 years down the road or whatever, when you've got supervillains and he's fighting up in Justice League and you've had arch nemesis and tons of storylines. This might be par for the course for him. Oh yes, another person who's threatening me who I don't know who they are. But for him, this is like the first time someone knows who I am, that I'm Batman. They can threaten the people close to me. Like that's compelling stuff. And people have said a lot of stuff about that trailer, including when he says like, oh, he shouldn't say he's vengeance. Batman's not about vengeance. This is early Batman. Maybe right now he is just getting vengeance. Maybe right now he is just out there pummeling people because he likes it. Second of all, my second point on that is he's not talking like during that point where he says, I'm vengeance. He's not talking to Robin. He's not like teaching Robin how to fight crime. He's not teaching anyone how to properly fight crime. He's currently talking to a gang of violent thugs and criminals who he may have to fight. So what he's trying to do is psychologically intimidate them by beating the crap out of one guy and then saying, I'm vengeance, and implying that he's going to do the exact same thame to you. If he says something like, I'm justice, they might be like, oh, it's a guy. Who cares? It's a guy in the back. You know, that might not sell it the same way. Vengeance is like, I think he might hurt me. You know, it's like justice. I'll fight a guy who says justice. I can evade justice. Vengeance. I don't know.
No, I think if he had said that he's justice, I think that would have been a bit too meta for me, because Ben Affleck played Batman, but then Ben Affleck also played Daredevil, and then in Daredevil he says, "What are you supposed to be? I'm justice," or something like that.
Well, justice is blind, so at least it works in Daredevil.
Oh, God,
Cam just got the joke.
Oh man.
Cam got the joke. Anyway, that Batman. Excited. I want to see Alfred. I want to see the police chief. Who's playing that police chief? Or it's the same guy. He's in. Oh, he was in that HBO show. I'm having a hard time.
I can never remember his name.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing his portrayal. It's killing me right now that I can't remember it, but someone in the comments help me. No, what do you got? Why not make this in the same universe as Joker, since they already hinted at Batman in the movie? Could they put it in the same universe as that Joker? They could, but I'm pretty sure in Joker, Batman was a kid in that.
Mm-hmm.
Although again, there's like three different. It's comics, so you can do anything. I'll say that first. But they are trying to actually do this, I think, with having the multiple Earths, multiple realities. So they have the option of keeping them completely separate, and I think they're going to take advantage of that, especially since they fumbled so hard trying to do a single universe, the Snyderverse, essentially. And through multiple factors, multiple reasons, no one person is to blame, but the Snyderverse tripped and fell multiple times. It may have its biggest success with the Snyder cut of the Justice League, but going forward, I don't think we're gonna see like Snyder at the helm. You know, this is just kind of you asked for it, so here it is, so you can subscribe to our streaming service. And it may influence a couple things. I'm not saying that it's not going to have any influence on the movies going forward. I think it actually might have big influence. It might, it might have but he's not going to be at the helm of the ship anymore. But I think we are going to see things like Flashpoint, the Flash movie. That's going to influence a lot of things. Maybe rewrite things. Maybe introduce that multiverse. Also, at the same time, we talked about this a little bit earlier when we talked about Batman versus Superman coming out at the same time as Captain America: Civil War. We're going to see the Flash movie probably coming out at a similar time as the Multiverse of Madness, if they can, because they just want to be able to take advantage of that. Like, oh, look, they're doing it, so are we. There's a multiverse here too. And it solves a lot of their problems for both of them. Both Marvel and DC have problems with continuity. Easy fix. Oh, it's alternate reality.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring up continuity within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I don't know if you remember, but the whole big discrepancy with Spider-Man: Homecoming, where it said like 8 years later or 8 years after the events of the first Avengers, but in reality it's actually 6 years after the events of Avengers that Infinity War takes place. And so there's all these Reddit threads and all these forums talking about like, well, which is it 8 or 6 years? And then they just haven't explained that away yet. I'm just waiting for the the Spider-Man: Homecoming Stan Lee cut, where literally the only change is just changing that 8 to a 6.
I'm pretty sure even the official explanation is like, give me a break, right?
every time somebody brings it up, they're just like, okay, but how about another episode of WandaVision?
It's like, we do so much, okay, for you guys. Can we have this? And it's like, no, you can't. I don't know if you've heard of us before, but we're geeks.
Are you kidding me? This baby is off the charts. Why?
Oh, a sarcasm detector. Well, that's a really useful invention.
God, I love comic book guy. Every day I'm more worried that I'm turning into him. I just don't want to get that fat, but otherwise.
So what are y'all's opinions on I know we kind of touched on this before, but what are y'all's thoughts on Jared Leto, like, for sure coming back as the Joker now, even if only for this movie?
I think it'll be interesting to see. It's not a draw for me. Again, like Debbie, I wasn't a huge fan of him. Some people liked him, some people didn't. I was one of the ones I was like, eh. But I'm obsessed with Heath Ledger's Joker and Mark Hamill's Joker from the animated series, and it's really hard to beat those if you're obsessed with those and you're comparing everything to those two. For what he was doing, I will give it that it was a unique take, and it was kind of an interesting. I don't think he did a bad job, other than Offset, where he was apparently a nightmare. But having him come back, I think the tattoos, I didn't even see any of that. Again, this is like a nightmare possible version of him. But it does hint at him possibly having more of a presence. So like you're talking about defining these characters and also their villains. The only hints we really got of Joker in the Batman movies, other than like Suicide Squad and the actual Batman and Batman, was the armor of Robin that had been defaced by the Joker. So maybe we'll get some more stuff on that, which I would be very interested in seeing if they've got anything on that they're going to put into the movie. Again, that's a situation.
Shut up and take my money.
So I've got to see what's in this. I've got to see what's in the Snyder Cut,
Yeah, definitely. Well, there have been rumors going around that Jared Leto's Joker is actually Dick Grayson.
That's interesting.
Yeah, if they go with that particular storyline, I think it would be kind of interesting. I don't necessarily know how I feel about it because obviously DCEU, Dick Grayson hasn't been set up in even the most marginal of ways, but if they did that and they did it well, then I think it'd be interesting to see. I don't. As far as Joker and Suicide Squad, I mean, he wasn't. I don't know. The script was just ass. This
Yeah,
script was just so bad.
He was only in there like what, 5 minutes total?
Well, so yeah, sort of. I mean, if you go and you watch the extended edition, there are a couple of additional scenes in there. There is some more dialogue between him and Harley, but even like the additional dialogue, it's just not good. Like, you know, that there's a scene where Harley confronts him in the middle of the road, and she's talking about, you know, why won't you accept me? I love you. And the lines he says after that are so awful. He says, "I'm not someone who is loved. I'm an idea. I'm a state of mind." It's like, that's not something that a Joker would say in any universe.
Yeah,
It's I can't. I don't know. I don't.
that was
like,
another.
I
That
don't
was
like
another
Suicide
movie
Squad.
that. Yeah. Sorry. That was another one that, much like Justice League, was subject to reshoots, re-edits, and who knows what the original movie was supposed to look like. A lot of people have been calling for like a Snyder cut of Suicide Squad, or basically the original cut, which I don't even know how much of a help that would be, because again, that movie has more problems, but again, so did Justice League, than just, I mean, the entire, I don't know. Anyway, more on the future of DC. We've talked a little bit about the Flash movie. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think that's something they should have done sooner, but luckily for them, doing it later does allow them to rewrite stuff with the Flashpoint. So that's an easy, again, time travel, easy fix. It's almost the go-to. And that level, it comes with its own downsides, which you can work into the story, and that's wonderful too. Other stuff that they've got coming out includes things like they've had Shazam, Black Adam. I think Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is set to play Black Adam, which perfect casting. But I have no idea when that's supposed to come out or what they're doing with it.
Black Adam, before the pandemic, it was supposed to come out in December of this year. Now
it's shot already?
Yeah, it's been moved to a undetermined date. Shazam, Fury of Gods comes out June 22nd.
Of this year?
22nd. Sorry, 2022.
Oh.
It's been a long day, guys. I'm sorry.
That's what,
I understand.
22nd was for the year.
Yeah, come on, Cam, get with it.
Yes, yeah. The
22nd year
22nd.
of the 2000s.
And there was talk that since Black Adam is the big nemesis for Shazam, that there could be a crossover at some point. I don't know with the initial Black Adam movie and the second Shazam movie, but I think there's talks that since they're arch rivals, that, you know, somewhere down the line.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm looking at something right now that's talking about Black Adam, and they're gonna have people like the Justice Society of America, which is the precursor to like the Justice League. They're talking about possibly seeing Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher being in the film. And that was for the one that was it had the 2021. Yeah, it did have a 2021 release date, but that got shuffled. Yeah, that all got changed. And Warner Brothers been through a lot of stuff recently. And DC entirely with their streaming service and everything getting bought up, and now it's all moved to HBO Max. Tons of changes.
Yeah, I was looking up upcoming movies, and I was kind of shocked at some of the ones that I found.
Green Lantern Corps was one.
Yeah, that one I'm excited about. But they also evidently have planned Cyborg, Black Hawk, Batgirl, the Barbara Gordon version, and there was also a Jared Leto trilogy Joker movie.
Good heavens.
Movies. And also Nightwing and Static Shock, which I just noticed that appeared, the animation series appeared on HBO Max the other day. So
Static Shock, I would love to see in some form. I was a big fan of that cartoon growing up, and I just think he's a great character. I would watch a Static Shock movie, even if it's like an origin movie. I think a lot of people don't even know his character because he's not like part of the DC lineup. He started as part of like his own thing. The guy that invented him, it was like its own thing, but then it got bought or whatever by DC Comics. So then I remember watching the cartoons one day. He did a Justice League team up, and I was like, yo, I lost it. I was like, Static's teaming up with Batman right now. Are you killing me? Are you kidding me? Not killing me, kidding me. Hopefully you're kidding me. Don't be killing me.
Did you ever see? Did you ever see back in I think 2017 or 2018? There was a run of comics where it was a huge crossover thing where the Justice League teamed up with the Power Rangers.
No, I didn't see that at all.
Yeah, man. I actually have I have a few issues. I've got like 400 something comic books, and I have a few of the issues over in my boxes, and they're pretty wild. I mean, they're campy, they're kung fu-y. I mean, they're everything that you expect from a Justice League and Power Rangers crossover. But I was actually surprised. It's actually pretty good.
Infinite realities exist. In one such, the Justice League teams up with the Power Rangers. Go Justice League.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see Harley Quinn and Rita Repulsa put in a room together and see who can scream louder.
Oh, God. Unbelievable. I think the Green Lantern Corps though could be very exciting.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
We haven't had the Titanic failure of the original Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds.
I like that one, but I'm a Ryan Reynolds fan, so. But I'm
a Ryan Reynolds fan too, but the movie itself was not great. Ryan Reynolds is like the saving grace of it, but like the CGI wasn't great, the script wasn't good, and it didn't set up for the larger universe well at all. It was a misstep, and it failed in the box office. It failed to critical acclaim, and they just kind of totally moved away from Green Lanterns entirely, so much so that like they didn't even include it almost at all in the Snyderverse. Apparently we are going to see that. We are going to see a Green Lantern in this. We saw like the hint of one in that like flashback scene in the original Justice League, but who knows? I would like to see more Green Lanterns but that was one of the things that they mentioned in the original trailer, and one of the things they were saying there are no lanterns to protect them. So
did they cast a new Green Lantern already?
I've heard rumors that, excuse me. I've heard rumors that Ryan Reynolds was possibly set to even come back, but that's purely rumor. I don't know.
I hadn't heard that one. Yeah, there's a few names floating around, but
yeah, I know that some people were talking about like Tyrese Gibson was wanting to play Green Lantern. A couple of other people I don't remember. That's just the first one that comes to mind.
And there's several Green Lanterns. There's Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner,
John Stewart,
and they could just come up with another one. There's future Green Lanterns, past Green Lanterns, alien Green Lanterns. Again, the whole Green Lantern Corps implies that they're going to be showing the larger Green Lantern universe, which is really cool. Space Cops. That's what it is. It's Space Cops with magic. Magic Space Cops. That's what they should title it. I don't know why they're titling it Green Lantern Corps. It's Magic Space Cops. That's what you title it. Don't make the suit green or animated. Yes, that was the line in the Deadpool movie, which again is why I love Deadpool, my favorite character, breaking that fourth wall, and why I love Ryan Reynolds. That was just so inspired. Just please don't make the super suit green or animated. And then they torture him. They suffocate him and kill him. I was like, haha, is that better than that's meta? I don't know.
Francis.
He called himself Ajax. He just stole it from a dish soap.
I don't understand. Is it sexist to hit you? Is it more sexist to not hit you?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Deadpool's. I don't know if there's anyone on the DC side who can break the fourth wall like that, or is
not that I know
well
of.
known for it. The Joker, I mean, sometimes would break the fourth wall in like the animated show and like talk to the kids, but don't try this at home, kiddos. That could just be insanity. Well, that's what Deadpool is too. So yeah, maybe Joker. I like that kind of character that can break the fourth wall and do that kind of stuff. It's obviously not for everything. It would just be terrible, but I don't see anything like that in the future of the DC universe anyway. Well, Lobo maybe. There's apparently a Lobo movie in development. Do you guys know Lobo?
I don't.
I've heard of it, but I'm not real sure what it is.
He's an alien with tons of superpowers and healing factors, and they could introduce him in like the Green Lantern Corps, but he's insane and can I think even rival Superman with powers and stuff like that. I've only ever seen him in like one of the Justice League animated shows, and he was hilarious and totally beat the crap out of everyone who he was fighting against just to pick up a bounty or something. He was being a bounty hunter at the time, and I was like, this guy's hilarious and does not care at all about the people that are trying to stop him. They're just terrible. So I don't know how they're going to make a movie, or like that's the only time I've ever seen him. So I was surprised. I was like, there's so many other characters that are better known, and maybe it's their stab at doing like a Guardians of the Galaxy type thing, because before the movie Guardians of the Galaxy themselves were like not A-list heroes in Marvel, you know. I love this. Look at this. Lobo, maybe? Good call. I think Dave, I'm gonna lag again. Okay. So, you know, future of the DC universe is probably looking more towards stabilizing their universe, as well as branching out into other realities so they don't even have to worry about that. The other thing they've got going, they don't have something like WandaVision or, you know, Loki. They don't have these streaming shows that the MCU has, these miniseries. I think that's going to be a big tool that the MCU, like that's how the MCU is going to grow going forward, and that's now where DC is going to continue to lag behind. Although they do have shows coming out, and they've had shows in the past. They've had like the Arrowverse and things like that. That's a different format than a miniseries. It's a longer. We've talked about this at different times, but so it'll be interesting to see how they do going forward, especially with the changing landscape of cable TV and network TV and streaming, and just what that's going to turn into, which is pretty much soon going to be all streaming.
The DC channel, I'm not sure of the correct name for it.
Now it's just HBO Max.
Well, yeah, but before that they had
the DC Fandom, which now is absorbed.
Yeah, they had two series, Swamp Thing, which I think is a great show. I heard
everyone loved it and they canceled it.
Yeah, I don't get that. And then one I just finished watching up was Doom Patrol.
And they also had Titans.
I haven't gotten to that one yet, but
what did you think of Doom Patrol? I've heard wonderful things about it. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it.
The first season was great. The second season, they introduced a character that I wasn't very fond of, but the Doom Patrol, they're great. Brandon Fraser as the robot, Cliff.
It was one of the reasons I want to watch it, because I've always been a fan of him.
Yeah, I thought he was great. Yeah, I like the series, and I don't know if that one's been canceled or not. I don't know why.
I don't think so. I think that one's going to keep going on HBO Max now.
Okay, well then I don't understand why they're not doing Swamp Thing, because
no idea.
I mean, I've only been able to watch it on the CW, and they showed season 1, and I really like it, and I couldn't understand why in the world would you cancel this unless season 2 was really a crap show. But
I think they just it was during that time period where things were being bought, things were being acquired. DC fandom wasn't getting enough views, wasn't getting enough. They weren't going to put money into that. So when they were like, can we continue this show, which they didn't know if it was going to do good or not, they didn't have the numbers. They said no. And so you can't. And then, buyouts happen and COVID happens. And so it's just like an avalanche of things keeping them from going back and actually doing that. And could it get picked up again in the future? Possible. Maybe something like it. And the swamp monster.
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. What did you forget the word thing? It's teamed up with like Constantine and stuff in the past and has a relationship with him. So it definitely fits into like the larger universe as well. Something they could go to. Speaking of the CW, there is a new show coming out there because I think Arrow is set to end. They were considering starting or continuing with that, but the Green Arrow has died now. Oliver Queen or whatever in that, he's dead. And they were going to continue it in some fashion. Now they're not. I think the Flash is still going.
Yep.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yep.
Still going. Supergirl is now over there and going. And they're about to add a new show, which I haven't seen the trailer for, but Cam told me about it, and he wasn't thrilled about it, but we're going to watch the trailer right now. Anyway.
Dreaming about having a family didn't...
Oh, let's...
When we were dreaming about having a family, it didn't look like this, did it? Lost jobs, teens with severe anxiety, parents gone too soon.
Why'd you move the family here? Still looking for the simple life? Because those days are gone, Clark. Long gone.
You got the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Really wish I could get drunk sometimes. You're saying you're Superman?
Well, we've seen Superman before. We've seen him.
Am I a bad father?
We're gonna be all right. No one ever dreams about the problems, but every life has them. Even the extraordinary ones.
Superman and Lois, 2-hour premiere event Tuesday, February 23rd. Stream free next day only on the CW app.
Well, stream free on the CW app. So when's that happening? That's happening just a couple days.
Yeah, on the 23rd.
Just about a week from now, next Tuesday. So hey, next Tuesday, let's all watch Superman and Lois for free. Doesn't get any better than that. And then we can talk about what do we think about it.
Okay.
Now I will tell you, just in general, we're not going to have a live stream because again, next Wednesday is Spider-Man, not Superman, Spider-Man. But that trailer, it's Superman and Lois. So it's about them and their kids on their farm as it would.
Yeah. That's what it's looking like. And, the kids have to come to terms with the fact that their father is Superman and, maybe they're going to have powers of their own and stuff. And I don't know. It doesn't look like something that I would particularly feel inclined to go out of my way to watch. Obviously, if the writing is good, then it's good. And, I'll obviously, amend my statements. But as it is right now, it doesn't look all that great to me.
I'm looking forward to watching it. For some reason, I don't know why, but Tyler gets a lot of hate for Superman. I don't understand why, but I like him. He's just a different version. But I'm looking forward to the series, and I'll watch it the first season just to see what happens, and hopefully it's good. I'm really hoping it is.
Yeah, I'm hoping it is too.
And we've never seen, Superman and Lois with kids, so that'll be an interesting take.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Superboy is the closest thing I can think of from different things, but he was like a half clone of Superman and Lex Luthor, and that was it wasn't, I haven't personally read a timeline or read anything or seen anything of them raising children, certainly not as it appeared to teenage boys. And do they have powers? Like that's another question, I guess, that will be coming up. And I mean, that one villain or army or villain guy was like, it's basically the same thing in these shows. You wanted the simple life. Well, too bad. Gerp. So it sounds like they're going to have plenty of crap going down at the farm. More than just cow tippings on the Kent property.
Yeah. Superman goes into retirement, and then some Russian mobster kid comes and kills his dog.
It's like, this is Kansas, right? We are in Kansas, right? Okay, it's weird when this many things. One comet, one time. Okay. Russian aliens, all the constant. People are going to be like, "What's up with Kansas?" I'm not sure this is Kansas anymore. We're not in Kansas any. That's copyrighted. Can't say that. Also, we're definitely still in Kansas. We're just super people.
Yeah, I'd almost
That's what they should have titled it. Super people.
I would almost prefer just going the typical superhero route of just having everything take place in New York City. It's like every supervillain, every world-ending event just happens in New York City.
I don't know. Looks like we might have cut out for a minute. I don't know if it was because of showing a trailer or could have been.
That'll be interesting to go back and watch later.
We're gonna find out. I can tell you that much.
So, what are your to you two guys best Lex Luthor movies or TV shows? Favorite?
I would say
it's tough. I like Lex Luthor in the original, Justice League cartoon from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
But at the same time, honestly, I know that I'm kind of in the minority here, but I honestly really like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Really?
I mean, yeah, and like it was a very different take on the character, and I felt he brought a very different performance, and I felt like, while obviously it didn't hold true to, what we're used to seeing from a character like Lex Luthor, I thought that it's almost like Heath Ledger. It was a fresh take on the character, and I found it to be engaging, and I found myself enjoying it quite a bit. Now, is he my favorite? I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but I enjoyed him. I thought he was good, and I do want to see more of him. So,
some of the animated movies, I would say, but I know you guys haven't seen those or all of them. So
I haven't seen all of them.
Yeah, there's a couple where he's really good. Also, that's one of my favorite Vandal Savage appearances is in the one where he uses the plans of Batman. There's one, I forget what it's called, but there's a film where he uses Batman's contingency plans against the Justice League to basically take down the Justice League, which is pretty cool. And the Justice League is pissed because they're like, Batman, why'd you have plans to stop all of us? He's like, in case you went bad. and they're like, well, did you have a contingency plan for yourself? And he's like, yeah, I did. The Justice League. And then he leaves, and it's like, oh. Yeah, it's been tough to see, the Justice League on screen not live up to like you compare it, you can't help, to the Avengers, and you're like, I wish I could see a Justice League movie as good as an Avengers movie, or at least. So we'll see with the Snyder Cut, I guess, and then we'll see where they go from there. We'll be going for hour and 15. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about specifically before we? Crisis on Infinite Earth, Luthor as the hero.
Best Lex, hands down, Smallville, Michael Rosenbaum.
I never saw Smallville.
Don't argue with me. Hands down. That character is so great on Smallville. I love it. I have a hard time seeing anybody else playing Lex Luthor. Maybe that's why I don't like Jesse Eisenberg very much. Like I said, I just watched Batman versus Superman last night, and I just wanted to slap him. I didn't like him. I didn't care for him. He just seemed too, I don't know, static and jittery. And
yeah, that was a newish take on the character. Always before, he'd been portrayed as a very strong, like kind of fit person. At least, you know, this guy was more of a, oh, hey, Jesse Eisenberg kind of, yeah.
I don't know. I liked it.
And I think I didn't mind it. It also contrasted him to the Batman and Superman, because that was like when you have that, literally there's that scene where they both are at his benefit or whatever, and he comes up and talks to both of them, and that's when he goes, I would not want to have to fight this person. Mm-hmm. You just see the contrasts of Superman looking like a giant, perfect human specimen, and billionaire Bruce Wayne looking like a giant, perfect human specimen. And then you have Jesse Eisenberg looking like Jesse Eisenberg. So it kind of, at that point, you can be like, I can see why he would hate these people. And if you're a billionaire, you can just do whatever you want and be like, I'm just going to be better than these people. So, you know, it's an interesting comparison between those two different things, but I don't think you needed that, because also the whole point is that he's mainly a Superman villain, and they put that burden onto like Batman of being the villain in that, so, or putting that in a contest. And I know that it happened in the contest, and or in the comics and whatever, but it's kind of ridiculous. And then they stop fighting because he's like, Martha, I don't know, yeah, whatever. It's interesting. And then Superman dies anyway, and that's the lead up to the Justice League movie where it's like, oh, and here's Aquaman, the Flash, and Cyborg. Well, where do they come from? We don't know, but they're here now. So hopefully we'll get a little more than that in the Snyder Cut. We'll get to see, and I already know from the most recent trailer, there's more footage of Cyborg doing stuff that we haven't seen. There's footage of the Flash doing stuff that we haven't seen before, including saving possibly who may be his future wife in the street from that taxi, or it could just be a random person. He's not wearing shoes at the time, so that could be one of the first times that he uses his powers and he's literally run out of his shoes. I think that would be cool. Thank you very much. We've enjoyed putting it on. I don't know what happened to Damon. He said he was going to be late, but it's been over an hour, so I'm going to call it and say he's not going to make it. Especially because I'm also calling the end of the stream right now. So.
Literally the last like quarter second of the stream, he just comes up and is like, hey guy, and then it just cuts off.
Oh, sorry about that. Anyway, it's been a pleasure, but you know, now it's time for us to go.
And here we go.